So, it's the early 2000s and you're in your local game shop and you see it. A game called Flatout. And you decide to give it a go and you think, wow, this game is actually pretty good. Now, this is the year 2025 and you're seeing this video and you think, wow, what the hell happened to Flatout? Well, if you want to know, you're in the right place. Going from ultimate carnage to absolute stinker, this game series committed one of the worst cardinal sins in any gaming community. Unless you're Blizzard, then that's a whole other story I don't even want to get into. But this game series came from seemingly nowhere to become one of the more remembered arcade races of its time. So let's find out together, what the hell happened to Flatout? And before we get started, we have a sponsor in Dubby. And yes, I checked it this time, I've got the name right. But they sell all your energy needs for any type of gaming with no jitters. And if you want to try it, use the code BLAZINGPhoenix at checkout to get yourself some Dubby today. So in the early 2000s, a new racing game was born, Flatout. And it was one of those games that you could find in your local game shop, and it was not very expensive at all. But if you did play it, you were bound to have a whole lot of fun. And let's go into a Blazing Phoenix fun fact about this game. It almost didn't even exist because one of the people working on this game, mainly for the PlayStation and Xbox online features, had a military exercise on. What would have delayed the game and costed it funding? I just want you to think about that for a second. This whole franchise almost died before it was even born just because some dude in Eastern Europe had to do a military exercise and hadn't finished his work on time. Now, thankfully, he was allowed to reschedule, and because of this, the drill sergeant guy who was in charge actually got mentioned in the game. They would create this fun arcade game that used its hyper-realistic destruction style to reward you for smashing into your opponents. And if this sounds similar to a more recent game that has come out, well, yes. The developers of this game, Bugbear, are the same people who would later make Wreckfest. But going a bit more on topic, the early 2000s was an era of arcade races. So what made this game stand out from the others at the time? Well, besides the destruction, it would definitely be what I would call the funny elements of the game. Because if you were a big enough dickhead in one of these races, your body would go flying through your windscreen and it would ragdoll around. Kind of like when your drunk mate tries to go ice skating. But not only that, they also had other game modes, including derbies and stunt modes, like long jump, high jump, and other fun game modes as well. And this game was fun, but something felt off about it. You know, the game, once you finished it, just kind of ended. It was just a really sharp ending. It wasn't really a very fulfilling game when you finished it. And yeah, if you could overlook that, this game was amazing. It was really fun, awesome gameplay, but it just wasn't very rewarding once you actually finished it. Now again, for a lot of games like this, you just get a little congratulations screen, but it just kind of ended on a weird turn. Something that I would like to bring up definitely comes in the next addition to this series. Now, when it comes to the next one, I'm going to do it together, and this would be the absolute pinnacle of the Flatout series. And these ones would be Flatout 2 and Ultimate Carnage. And if you haven't played these games, what are you doing? Go and play them, but of course, after you like and subscribe first. But let's be honest here, Ultimate Carnage is just a glorified DLC. Now listen. Okay, before you get mad at me, Ultimate Carnage is absolutely amazing and it's what DLC for games should actually be like. Now look, I get it kind of looks bad, especially in today's age, but back then it was hard to kind of make people download a DLC. So kind of just re-releasing it and giving it a new name was actually not too bad of an idea. So I don't actually hate it. But before we look into these games as a whole, let's really quickly cover the differences between Ultimate Carnage and Flatout 2. So realistically, there was just a few new cars, a few more AI diverse going from 8 players to 12, and quite a few other miscellaneous things that just really made the experience more enjoyable. But if you've played both Flatout 2 and Ultimate Carnage, let's all agree there is one severe downgrade, and that is the soundtrack in Ultimate Carnage. It is absolutely disgusting compared to Flatout 2's. Now, the thing is, when we're comparing the soundtracks of these games, is Ultimate Carnage's soundtrack bad? No, not really. But Flatout 2's soundtrack was absolutely peak. Having Rob's Zombies Demon Speeding being the main thing of it, You can't get better than that. And honestly, comparing these two soundtracks is like comparing a sports athlete's best running time compared to Stephen Hawking. But now if we compare Ultimate Carnage and Flatout 2 compared to the original Flatout game, one of the biggest upgrades was definitely the characters, and they had some absolutely memorable characters like Sally, Katie, and Sophia. Absolute baddies. Also, is it just me, or was like Ray always coming in last every single race?
So sad.
Like, it didn't matter what class you were doing, he just kind of always sucked. But other improvements they also added was derbies and stunts to the main campaign. They even added some time trials, so it wasn't just a race now. You got to finish the game and you actually had other stuff to do. There were different builds for your cars. Like the other game had builds, but these builds just felt more effective. And not only could you just build your cars, you could even build them for different types of terrain. Now, I don't want to go on this for too long, as most of you are already going to know this was the big bopper of the series, and I'm just going to leave it to 2 notes before we get into the actual what the hell happened part of this video. 1, thank you for teaching me how to play poker with that stunt mode that you had, because now I have a gambling addiction and a high debt to pay back, so thank you, Bugbear. And number 2, thank you for being such a great part of my childhood, as this game was absolutely amazing and iconic, just as much as Ozzy Osbourne biting the head off that bat. Rest in peace, as metal will never be the same without you. But after all of this, I think it's time to start getting into the real shit that affected this series. The real cream of the crop. The smell that made this franchise fail, Flatout 3. Now, before I even talk about this game, I just want to show you a clip from another video to show you just how bad the gameplay really is. Yes, it's that bad. And the reason I showed this clip is because when I first seen it, I always pissed myself laughing. It was so funny. Not because it was good, it's just utter trash. Like, how do you go from something like this to this? Just to compare the two games really quickly, it's a literal fucking downgrade. Not only in gameplay, but just the game, it looks like a 6-year-old threw this shit together. My mum, who barely knows how to turn on a computer, would have made a better game than this, and I'm not exaggerating. But how? How did this game become so bad? Like, how did we go from a cult classic to this shit? Well, remember when I was talking about the biggest cardinal sin in gaming development? Well, it turns out if you change the development team behind your game, it loses its whole identity, and not only that, when Team 6 took over this, they gutted the whole franchise with one game. See, and if you don't know, this game has a record, and a pretty impressive one at that. The worst rated game on Steam, and with the amount of games on Steam, that is a really impressive feat to achieve. I'm not even lying, this is something that people dream of doing. This big title has done it unironically, and it's so fucking sad. So let's look at why this game is such a giant piece of shit. Well, let's look at the way the game looks. It looks like shit. What about the gameplay? I don't know how they done it, but how can the car feel so heavy but so light at the same time? It's like trying to be a racing sim, but you still turn on a dime like you're playing Grand Theft Auto. The music of this game just goes to your music folder, and if you're not careful, it won't let you change the songs, so it just picks a random one to latch onto like a fucking face hugger. And don't get me started on the AI of this game, oh my god. If you're doing a race, they're more just like images and just keep getting further and further away. And they're just shit to try and catch up to. And if you decide to do a demolition derby, good luck trying to get out of the cesspool that is this game. They just cuddle you. And no, not in the good way that you hope your mum will hug you. No, this is like being hugged by Diddy after one of his white room parties. Well, what about the cars? Are they cool? Have you been looking at the gameplay? They look like cheaply made Matchbox cars. Okay, what about the game mode? Have they made some new ideas since the new company has taken over? Well, yeah, they actually did have some new modes. So how about we go and take a look? Well, they have the off-road mode where you drive off-road. I guess that's pretty cool if the game wasn't so fucking boring and repetitive. There's the monster truck mode where because the AI barely works, it just ends up being a drive-by-yourself simulator. So there's another bust. But there was a zombies mode as well. And this was during that period where everything changed in gaming from driving to zombies. So at least they hit the hype market with that. So as long as I don't fuck it up, and this will be, oh my god, god damn it! With the shit mechanics this game already had, it just made this mode feel bad. And not only that, all you do is just run over zombies and get points. That meant that there was no longevity to anything that you did here. And look, I understand this is a side mode, but when everything else is so bad, you just want to try and find something that you could do. And hey, let's have a look. Wreckfest even made one of these game modes just to make fun of this game, and that mode was way better. There's a reason this is the worst game on Steam, and honestly, I don't think it needs to be shown. You can just see by the gameplay alone. It shows how big of a fall off this game series really has come through. And just for my own sake, I'm not even going to look at the characters in this game. Now look, after a game as bad as this, you would be thinking that this was the end of our little story. And honestly, if I was an outsider, I'd be thinking the exact same thing. How? How could anybody recover from this? Even outlets rated this game the lowest possible scores they could, besides GameSpot, who gave this game a 5 out of 10. Those fucking retards. But to my shock, there is another game in the series, a 4th game in the series. Well, 5th, depending on what you count with 2 and Ultimate Carnage. But this game would be called Flatout 4 Total Insanity. Now, over the day, I picked this game up from the shops and I was thinking, wow, I haven't played a Flatout game in such a long time, and I was excited because, fun fact, I played this game before I actually knew about the disgrace that was Flatout 3. So there was no real bad taste in my mouth from this series yet. I also remember about 30 minutes after playing Flatout 4 and thinking to myself, wow, this game is so fucking shit, and it is nothing like what I remembered. I also remember after about 30 minutes of playing this game thinking to myself, wow, this game is so fucking shit now and nothing like what I remember. And this game does feel horrible. It's not a Flatout game, similar to Flatout 3, but oh my god, this game is miles better than that piece of shit. But that's not an accomplishment by any stretch of the imagination. Now, this game was also made by a different studio again, and that's Big Ben. So thank God Team 6 got flushed down the toilet as soon as they got the chance. But this game still wasn't great. Like, if this game did not have the Flatout title on it, then it would be an okay game that you would find in the bargain bin, even though when this game came out, it was a bit late for that. But it's just not a super fun game. Like, yeah, it looks good and it feels okay, but it just has none of the Flatout feel to it, and it just really killed off the series with a little puff of air. You know, just like when George—
Whoa, okay, we just got monetized. Let's calm down, Aaron. Thank you.
But that is the life and death of one of the most chaotic racing games of my day. It was fun, but now forgotten to the times, and now getting swallowed up by battle royales and battle passes that cost an arm and a leg to have. But you know what doesn't cost an arm and a leg? Liking and subscribing. Wow, is that a plug? I think it is. And hey, if you could, it would really help this channel grow out and show it to more people, and maybe we could grow this channel to over 2k subs by the end of the month. And that would be amazing. And guess what? Post editor note, we've actually just hit over 2k, so let's push it even further. Let's try and get to 3k as soon as possible. And don't forget to check out the Discord server where you can come and chat with myself and everybody else who helps out with videos as well. And don't forget to use your code BLAZINGPhoenix when you shop with Dubby for your 10% off with any purchase. Links will all be in the description below. So I hope you all enjoyed this retrospective on the Flatout series and looking at how this series went from such great heights to such a low fall in the end of its life. But as always, thank you for watching, and let me know, do you take the straights or are you going to go flying with the jumps?